The galactic archive stretched across 17 star systems, its crystalline data cores containing the complete histories of 3,000 civilizations. Every species that had ever achieved faster than light travel had their records meticulously catalogued, studied, and preserved. Every species except one. Archivist Zeftar adjusted his neural interface as he reviewed the sealed section that had haunted him for cycles. The human's historical data sat locked behind quantum encryption that even the archive's most advanced AIs couldn't penetrate. The Galactic Council had decreed it necessary after humanity's integration into galactic society 200 years ago. Their past is too violent, the Council had declared, too disturbing. We show them the path of civilization, and in return, we protect the galaxy from the darkness they once embraced. Humanity had accepted the terms with surprising grace. They'd handed over their weapons, disbanded their militaries, and settled into peaceful roles throughout the galaxy. They became traders, diplomats, artists, and scholars, model citizens of the new order. But now, as the Zephyrian fleet approached, the outer rim with conquest on their minds, Zeftar wondered if the Council's benevolence had been wisdom or folly. The Zephyrians were apex predators from the galactic edge, a species that had never known defeat. Their armored hides could deflect plasma fire, their claws could rend metal, and their battle lust was legendary. They had swept through 3 systems already, enslaving entire worlds with casual efficiency. The Galactic Defense Force had mobilized, but their tactics were ceremonial at best. For 2 centuries, peace had been the galaxy's only reality. Their ships were beautiful but fragile, their weapons designed more for display than destruction. Zeftar watched the tactical displays with growing dread. The GDF was being slaughtered. That's when Captain Sarah Chen walked into his archive chamber. She was unremarkable by galactic standards, short, bipedal, with soft skin and no natural weapons to speak of. Her species was often dismissed as persistence predators, whatever that meant. But something in her dark eyes made Zeftar's thorax shiver. "I need access to our files," she said quietly. I don't have the authority. The Council's authority ends when the galaxy burns. Her voice carried no anger, just cold certainty. "My people have been patient. We've played by your rules, lived in your peace. But that peace is about to die screaming. And when it does, you'll remember why you locked our files away." Zeftar's manipulator appendages trembled as he began the unlocking sequence. The quantum barriers dissolved layer by layer, revealing terabytes of data that had been hidden for 2 centuries. What he saw defied comprehension. Wars that lasted decades. Weapons that could crack planets. Strategies so ruthless they seemed like fiction. But it wasn't the scale that horrified him, it was the ingenuity. Humans didn't just fight, they innovated. Every conflict spawned new technologies, new tactics, new ways to turn disadvantage into victory. "Your people," Zeftar whispered. "You fought each other?" "For millennia," Sarah replied, scrolling through battle plans and weapon schematics, with frightening familiarity. "We fought with sticks and stones, then bronze and iron, then gunpowder and steel. We fought in trenches and in space with nuclear fire and quantum viruses. We turned war into an art form. But you're so peaceful now." Sarah smiled, and Zeftar finally understood why prey animals had evolved to recognize predator expressions. "We're not peaceful. We're patient. There's a difference." Within hours, everything changed. The human merchant vessels suddenly revealed hidden weapon systems that turned them into dreadnoughts. Their cargo ships became troop transports filled with soldiers who had spent centuries studying warfare in secret, passing down knowledge through underground networks. The Zephyrians found themselves facing tactics they couldn't comprehend. Human ships would ram their vessels at full speed, sacrificing themselves to create boarding opportunities. Human soldiers would detonate themselves rather than be captured, taking their enemies with them. They fought with a coordination that seemed impossible, until the galaxy learned that every human carried quantum communicators that let them share battlefield data instantaneously. But it wasn't just their willingness to die that terrified their enemies. It was their creativity. Within days, Human engineers had reverse-engineered Zephyrian armor and developed weapons specifically designed to penetrate it. They captured Zephyrian ships and turned them against their former owners. They studied their enemies' biology and created psychological warfare campaigns that drove proud warriors to madness. The Zephyrian commander, Korth the Unconquered, demanded parley after a week of devastating losses. He found himself facing a small human female in a sterile conference room. "You are not what we were told," he growled through his translator. Admiral Chen, she'd been promoted 3 times in as many days, regarded him calmly. "No one ever is. Your species was described as weak, peaceful, harmless." "We were never harmless," she replied. "We were leashed. There's a difference." Korth's predatory instinct screamed warnings as he studied this small creature. "What do you want?" "Your unconditional surrender. Your fleets will be integrated into our defense networks. Your worlds will pay reparations. Your military caste will be disbanded." The insult sent rage coursing through Korth's massive frame. "You dare." "I dare because I can." Sarah's voice remained level. "Because my species has spent 2 centuries learning everything about yours while you learned nothing about us. Because we've turned every trade route into a supply line, every colony into a fortress, every peaceful merchant into a potential weapon." She leaned forward slightly. "Because when we were at our weakest, when we had nothing but rocks and sharp sticks, we conquered our own world through sheer bloody-minded determination. And you think 2 centuries of enforced peace made us soft?" Korth saw the truth in her eyes. The galaxy had tried to domesticate humanity, but they'd only hidden their fangs, never removed them. The surrender was signed within the hour. Later, as Zeftar updated the archive's records, he reflected on the Council's mistake. They'd thought humanity's past was their shame, something to be buried and forgotten. They'd never considered that it might be their greatest strength. The files were no longer locked away. There was no point anymore. Every species in the galaxy now knew what humanity truly was. Not the peaceful traders they'd pretended to be, but the most successful predator species the universe had ever produced. One that had turned warfare into science and patience into a weapon. The Council had tried to save the galaxy from humanity's past. Instead, they'd given that past 2 centuries to evolve into something far more dangerous.